Hello everyone and welcome to game 3 in a series here between MMA and Zenio here on Antigua Shipyard. Zenio spawning as the red Zerg here at what I'll call the 11 o'clock position. Meanwhile, MMA spawning as the blue Terran here at the 8 o'clock position. So it is going to be red versus blue, Terran versus Zerg here on Antigua Shipyard, and MMA with a very good split. You can see all of these particular mineral patches, the closest ones, are being doubly mined. So that might actually give them a slight economic advantage over time until a drone is needed to build some sort of building. Now, SCV is coming over here toward building up some supply depots now. You can see an Overlord is being trained as well. And we'll see what will all come of this in just a moment, as drones still mining away and the strategies have yet to be revealed. Now, in game 1, we saw MMA open up with an untraditional Reaper into Hellion into siege tanks almost, and it really worked out well. I believe it was siege tanks. And it really worked out well, just catching his opponent out of position and off guard and not quite sure what he needed to do. You can see that Zenio so far has not trained up anything, no buildings yet, and his first building will be a hatchery here on Antigua Shipyard for a very strong economic opening. An Overlord coming in from Zenio will spot this refinery here, and is it can actually reveal itself? Yes, Zenio reveals himself to his opponent, and I don't quite agree with this strategy. The Overlord, however, already saw what it needed to see with a refinery in play, and knowing that most likely there is not any proxy barracks strategy, and with that he could have simply retreated. Now he has revealed where exactly he is compared to his opponent, and now MMA will be able to respond and react accordingly much more easily as well. Now, supply depot, as soon as it is finished, we should be going into a factory here. Perhaps we will be getting that reactor add-on. As we saw in game 2, the map is much smaller than Tal'Darim Altar cross-spawns, and we'll see where all of these units will be going and traveling. Zenio also opting to get metabolic boost much more quickly, making sure to chase down many of those units as the hatchery is now being completed. A bunker, however, now being established here as a Marine is making its way over. An Overlord does spot this along with the hatchery, and the Marine is just going to sit and park itself off right here. Zerglings are being added, but it looks like the Zerglings are going to be significantly delayed. MMA will be able to establish this bunker, and if this bunker is completed in time, this is going to be really bad news. And I think Zenio, if he had just simply pulled back with that Overlord and not allowed or revealed himself to his opponent, he would be in a much better position. SCV now sitting on the ramp. Oh, is he going to bait some Zerglings? No, the Zerglings are not going to make their way in, and now trying to deal some damage here. Pulling back again once more. The SCV still is on that ramp. We are going into double reactors, interestingly enough, so perhaps very heavy Marine play as the Queens are now making their way over. Zerg is now going to come in and engage as well. The Queen does pull back in time. The SCV was destroyed. Zerglings will get taken down. SCV, no, down over here. Is it going to get destroyed? Yes, it is. And Zenio easily handling this Marine pressure now, and the Zerglings are going to be able to take control of the field. MMA currently sitting on 22 SCVs compared to 23 drones, but Zenio should be able to get in a lot more drones now that those Queens are up and those Queens are out, getting in a lot of larvae, and that perhaps should help Zenio tip over into the edge and we'll get a much stronger economy. Now, Zenio should have a little bit of a difficulty trying to establish this base here because of these rocks here. They are going to force him to expand closer into his opponent. That's normally something that Zerg players do not want to do, as we now see a reactor training up Marines and a Hellion, and it looks like it will be a cover fire drop. So the Hellions are going to try to come up that ramp, see what it can see, get some easy damage onto that one spine crawler there, and decide to pull back. There is one Overlord here as well, a Zergling unable to make its way up the ramp. More Hellions, more Marines are still being added as an Overlord starts to fly across the center. Now, MMA's strategy is pretty much going to be an all-in here. He has not established his expansion just quite yet, and without an expansion, he's going to be very far behind. It looks like he may be trying to build that just now. Now sitting on 500 resources. There you go, as the Hellions are now making their way off across the field. Zerglings are going to back off here. There is already a medevac lying in wait, and is it going to be spotted by the Overlord? I believe, yes, it is spotted by the Overlord now. The Hellions are now all on the low ground, and there you go. 2 more Hellions. Need to be very careful, and now this full drop inside the base may spell or may be problematic, as the Hellions are now running inside here. A lot of damage being dealt. The Hellions taking a lot of damage, but the Hellions also dealing a lot of damage, as this is a tightly packed group of units. Roaches are engaging. The Marines focusing down 1 queen, 2 queens, as drones are now all forced to run. Those drones are all lined up though, and this may be really, really bad. Is it going to be enough? Yes, multiple workers killed right there, right as the Baneling's nest has been completed. Now, the Marines are trying to fight back. It looks like the Hellions are going to fight against the rest of those Zerglings here. The Hellions are now battling up against those roaches. And alongside those Marines, the Marines really the damage dealer. The Hellions are the damage absorption, as the Hellions have to be very careful. They may fall here. One does get taken out. A second one could get taken out as well, as we are now dropping in more Marines. Banelings busting up against themselves here. And now MMA is in retreat. Even though a lot of damage was dealt, 14 workers killed, there is still a 32 drone advantage to 28 SCV. I don't know if MMA actually did the necessary damage in order to pull ahead here, but he does have his orbital command, and Zenio has not yet established a third. We'll see what's in store as more drones are still being added. It looks like a couple of injects were missed as well, as you see Zenio sitting on a large amount of minerals, now trying to train up a lot more drones. But the problem is that there is simply not enough larvae at this stage. Perhaps another production building would help, as we now see a very heavy transition into standard Terran play. Marines being trained, stim pack, combat shield most likely coming in, as well as we should be going into medevacs. Taking a look over here, we can see that the orbital command is just mining away here at the natural expansion. Marines are now making their way out. Siege tanks do not yet have siege check, perhaps there to simply counter roaches if there are a lot of them. Siege tanks also have a fair amount of armor in 1, as opposed to the Marines, which have 0, and also have a decent range of 7, meaning that even outside of siege mode, they have the same range as spine crawlers. We'll see how that's going to be used, as the siege tank now focusing down. Baneling's going to find its target. A second Baneling. 1 spine crawler does go down. Marines, siege tanks out of siege mode actually being effective here, as the roaches are getting caught in transit. 1 queen getting taken down. And it looks like MMA may simply just be able to attack move with this group of Marines. The SCVs don't even really need to join in on the fight, as the medevac has plenty of energy to heal up the rest of these units here. Drones now attempting to pull away. The Marines may be able to take down the lair. If the lair does fall, that is going to be very, very bad news, as Zenio will end up losing all of his tech and not be able to train up Aspire. The siege tank quickly getting picked up, and now will be carried back home, as we now see more Marines down over here, and perhaps an SCV may be joined in on the fight as well to help repair that siege tank. A new round of units coming in from MMA. The Marines now making their way off to the north. There are a lot of roaches. Siege tech now finally being started. It won't be completed for quite some time, as we are now getting a drop straight up onto the high ground. That siege tank is rather low on hit points. 1 more shot from a roach would take it down, but the hatchery looks like it is going to fall perhaps. The siege tanks and all the units able to quickly jump back in and now move away. Medevacs are still being trained. Where exactly are these units going to go? The siege tank now in the low ground here, protecting, as the Zerglings. However, the roach from the high ground should be able to fight back and shoot at this 1 siege tank. The siege tank, the real problem here for those roaches. Marines, not too big of an issue. The Marines still continue to push back and forth here. Siege tank up on the high ground. And a nice pick up once again picking up the siege tank to make sure that the roaches, once they got within range, would not be able to focus fire down that siege tank. Combat shield now being added. MMA just looking like an absolute beast. His third base has been completed as well. Overlord now getting, I believe that was an Overlord shot down there, as the siege tanks are now going to slowly do their push into the main base. Zenio is behind now, 47 to 48, 2 bases to 2 bases. Marines now simply going to push forward here. Is it going to be enough, as they should be able to deal a lot of damage? The Marines fighting back. The roaches do not want to engage, as the siege tanks are very close by. Overlords are getting taken down. Units are getting taken down left as well, as the Marines are now backing off. Siege tanks dealing a lot of damage here. SCVs being brought back from home, and I think these siege tanks actually need to be a little bit closer, as MMA misjudged the range. Siege tanks now attempting to siege on the ramp. The medevacs are starting to get low on energy, but now with proper siege tank cover fire, those roaches will all fall. Zerglings not even going to be able to get to their destination that easily, as queen after queen has fallen. And I believe MMA will receive the victory here and take this best of 3 series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.